To remember is to resist. To commemorate is to commit, to never again allow such darkness to overshadow the nation. Every September 21st, the nation pauses to confront a defining moment in its history, the declaration of martial law. More than just a date on the calendar, it represents a turning point that reshaped the country's institutions, economy, and collective memory. The shadows it cast remain long, complex, and deeply felt even decades later. For some, the martial law period is remembered as a time of strict order, discipline, and ambitious infrastructure projects that left visible imprints on the nation's landscape. These narratives highlight control and centralization as a source of stability. For others, however, the memories are starkly different. They recall the suspension of democratic freedoms, the imprisonment and silencing of dissenters, and the systematic violation of human rights. They speak of widespread corruption and cronyism that siphoned public resources into private hands. They remember how private businesses and media institutions were seized, redistributed to favored groups, and placed under tight state control. They recall how, beneath the showcase of grand projects, the economy fell into deep debt and inequality widened. To remember September 21st is not simply to look back at contrasting narratives, it is to confront the entire legacy of martial law. The repression of liberties, the culture of corruption and patronage, the takeover of private enterprise, and the unfinished struggle to preserve truth in the face of historical revisionism. Commemoration, then, is not about division but about clarity. It is about recognizing that history carries both lessons and warnings. It is about honoring the victims, learning from the failures of governance, and affirming the values of democracy, accountability, and human dignity. On this day, the nation is reminded that vigilance is the price of freedom. To honor September 21st is to commit, not only to remembering the past, but also to ensuring that its darkest chapters are never repeated. The martial law legacy. Suppression of rights and freedoms, constitutional protections were suspended, thousands were detained without charges, dissent was silenced, censorship stifled press freedom, while public gatherings and protests were banned. Reports of torture, disappearances, and killing spread fear across communities. Fear became part of everyday life as freedoms were traded for the illusion of order. Massive corruption and cronyism. Billions in public funds and foreign loans were diverted to a small circle of favored allies. Crony capitalism thrived. Public projects were awarded without transparency, leaving the nation with staggering debt. What appeared as progress in concrete and steel came at the cost of economic instability and long-term inequality. Seizure of businesses and media. Independent newspapers and broadcast stations were closed and later reopened under government or allied control. Industries in sugar, logging, construction, and utilities were monopolized by select groups, distorting free enterprise. Private businesses and properties were forcibly taken, weakening competition and enriching a privileged few. Economic fallout. While infrastructure expanded, the cost was unsustainable. The economy was left crippled by debt, poverty deepened, and industries stagnated under monopolistic control. Historical revisionism, a struggle for truth. Today, the battle over the memory of martial law continues. Revisionist narratives circulate, portraying it as a golden era of order while ignoring abuses and corruption. Disinformation online reshapes history for younger generations. Textbook debates raise questions about how schools should present this chapter of history. Civic commemorations stand as bulwarks against forgetting, ensuring truth is not erased. Commemorations every September 21st remind the nation that truth-telling is an act of justice. Then and now, echoes in the present. While the Philippines today has safeguards, regular elections, a vibrant civil society, and independent institutions, the echoes of martial law remain. Corruption scandals in public works and procurement, red tagging and harassment of activists, pressures on independent media, disinformation campaigns that blur truth and fiction. The dangers of authoritarianism are never far away if vigilance weakens. Why we remember. The September 21st commemoration is not only about recalling the past, it is about honoring victims of human rights abuses, acknowledging the economic damage caused by corruption and cronyism, remembering how the takeover of businesses destroyed fair competition, guarding against the erasure of history by revisionist narratives, safeguarding the future. As the nation marks September 21st, the memory of martial law is not merely a story of the past, it is a continuing call to conscience. The legacies of that period remind us how fragile freedom can be when vigilance weakens, how corruption corrodes when power is unchecked, and how truth itself can be contested when historical memory is rewritten. To commemorate this day is to stand with the victims whose voices were silenced, to acknowledge the cost of unchecked authority, and to recognize the responsibility of each generation to protect the democratic ideals hard-won after years of struggle. It is also to affirm that remembrance is not about division, but about learning. To remember is to guard against repetition. To confront injustice is to strengthen the institutions that protect the people. And to preserve truth is to honor not only the past but also the future. On this day, may the lessons of martial law inspire resolve. To uphold the rule of law over the rule of force. To promote transparency and accountability over secrecy and patronage. To protect rights and freedoms as the foundation of true progress. September 21st is more than commemoration. It is a covenant. A covenant that the mistakes of history will not be repeated, that truth will not be erased, and that the Filipino people will remain steadfast in defending democracy and dignity for generations to come. Moving forward, the lessons of martial law challenge us to strengthen democratic institutions, defend freedoms of expression, press and assembly, promote transparency and accountability in governance, preserve archives, testimonies, and educational materials to safeguard memory. On this day, let us remember, to honor the past is to protect the future. If you found this content informative, inspiring, or thought-provoking, please like, share, and subscribe to support our channel. Your engagement helps us continue creating meaningful discussions and spreading awareness to more viewers. Thank you.